y'all, it's Renee at Garden in Zone 9B, Panhandle, Florida region, and it has been almost 4 months since I've made a video. I'm just saying, it has been really hot. It's our winter here in Florida, in the middle of summer, where you can't really do very much. And of course, as y'all know, I was getting over a knee surgery, which the surgeon says is a year-long process. So I can only do so much in the garden. And I don't know if you can hear this, but fighting the cold, making the good fight against it, because definitely some nasty stuff going around this time of year. So cover those coughs and sneezes and try to take your vitamin C and be as healthy as you can. Today's video is all about propagations. So today I'm going to be propagating a rose, one that I have found very challenging to do through clippings. So I'm going to do my air layering method. And then last winter, I air layered some camellias. And remember, as always, whenever you're propagating plants, you only want to do it with plants that are out of patent. There are a lot of laws protecting the growers of these plants because they spend years and years trying to develop these strains that are new and healthy and wonderful for us to use. But again, should only be propagating those plants that are out of patent. But let me go ahead and show you what air layering can do for a camellia that is about 3/4 of a year in growing. All right, that one was grown so tight to a branch that was branching out that I had to take the little ball off that it was in order to snip it below it. But I don't know if you all can see all this, but these are all roots here. And it has grown all through the sphagnum moss. And I need to go ahead and get this in a pot to get it conditioned over winter so it'll be ready to be planted in the spring. So let's go ahead and we're gonna get this into a pot now. So before I put that one in a pot though, I wanna go ahead and show you the process. I'm using a razor blade, my clippers, and one of those balls that has wet sphagnum moss in it. And I've taken some rooting hormone and I have added a little bit of water to make it more like a paste. And now I'm going in there with the razor blade. I like to look for a part on the stem that has another branch coming out from it, because I feel like that is like the way into the roots for making it. It's kind of like thinking about this when you take a clipping from a hydrangea. You want to get that good kind of DNA sequencing that comes from when branches come out from it. And so I kind of just clip off a branch and then I'll make my ring or cuts around it deep enough to get through the green layer. And then I will put a rooting hormone on that wound. And then I will put the wet sphagnum moss ball around it. And then I might come back later on and squirt some water into the ball periodically, especially if I can open it up and see that it's a little dry. But this method has worked really well for me in the past, especially with Japanese maples. All right, so these balls that you can get, they come in all different sizes. I use the size down for my rose, but it really depends on how big the branch is that you're trying to air layer. And so here's my cutting, and I'm gonna put it in a actually this looks like it might be a little bigger than a 1 gallon here, but typically 1 gallon is just fine for it. And I have my mixture that I make from my own homemade soil, which is going to be about 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 cow compost and about 1/3 pine bark mulch, but I've also added in some of my natural sandy soil because that's where a lot of the minerals come from that help to feed the plant, as well as a little bit from the manure that's in the compost. And then I will probably lightly feed this a camellia and an azalea feed, but not too much. But it won't hurt it because it's probably just a little baby. And I can just mix that in or do it as a top dressing. And I do like to get these positioned really well. Now this air layering is fairly dry, and I would probably highly recommend you syringe these with water periodically if they're not getting enough natural, yeah, that looks good, natural sunlight, natural rain, because we have been kind of dry lately. I know I'm in Florida and you think all these, they've been reporting on all of these hurricanes, but I live in Northwest Florida, and my heart goes out to all those people living in Central and South Florida. But we were pretty much unaffected by the last 2 big hurricanes that came through. You know, when you live in Florida, you know, you hope it doesn't come your way. But, you know, as someone who's lived along the Gulf Coast for 45 years, you know, you kind of expect it at some point to happen to you for sure. All right, so that's centered, it's pretty straight, and I'm gonna do some good water on it and just make sure I'm gonna keep these watered well. Some people loosen them out of the sphagnum moss that they're in. They loosen the roots. I'm of the opinion, I have just cut this away from the mama plant. I do not want to stress out this any more than I have to, so I'm not going to loosen it from that ball. If anything, as I water it, it'll just stay really nice and moist in that area, and the roots will begin spreading out to that soil that's there. Let me go ahead and show you a few of the ones that I've done probably 3-4 weeks ago. I purposely left 1 or 2 of these so I could do a video on it, but the rest of them have been doing really good in their pots, and I have quite a few. Ooh. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to the bottom of my yard because there's an air layering that I did the Jim Putman style, which is putting it into a slitted pot on the side, and we're going to cut that one and see how good the roots are on that as well. And just for reference, I did do an air layering on that particular camellia as well. I'll show you that one in particular when I show you my other ones that I've done. All right, so this one that's right here, that's the one that we're going to go cut one off of it that was done a different way, but this one was in the ball air layering. And it looks great. And then I have another little one here, and then I have a little one here. And I was really kind of worried about these. Here's one right here, because I was kind of concerned that I was going to lose the flowers on these, which would be okay. I would expect that. But as I look really closely, a lot of this still has a lot of green on them. So I'm kind of hopeful that maybe they'll be okay. Like this one over here has a beautiful green bud. You can see that right there. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's go ahead then and head down to the bottom of my yard. All right, so this is the one, and you can see that I had my little drip hose hooked up to it to make sure it was getting enough water. The leaves on it look great too, so let's go ahead and cut it and take a look. All right, so here we are again. So we are going to take a look. I'm gonna just take it out of its pot. And voila. We are full of roots here, as you can see. And these are very fine, more typical of what I find with azaleas and camellias. See if we can get this to go a little straighter. Oh, and fit into this pot. Well, huh. All right. Oh, look here. I don't think. Yeah, look at that. All those fine little roots, I think were coming from something underneath it, maybe the camellia next to it. But look, here's the cut here. There's nothing attached to it. Huh. So, yeah, failure on that part, for sure. Although this stayed green for a long time down there, but there's absolutely no root that was coming from this. So, wow. Okay, not a success. Again, it lived in that pot the same amount of time that my air larings did. And again, I don't know where all these fine roots are coming from, but they weren't coming from that cutting. For me, at least. The Jim Putman way doesn't work. At least for me. But those balls, those for sure work for me. And I'm not saying that everyone is a success using these, but I probably have a 80% success rate. Every once in a while, it's because I did something wrong, like I maybe carved too deep or not deep enough into the cambium layer of the stem, and that's my fault. That's all on me, I'm gonna say. But if I do my part right, these are pretty foolproof. But again, you know, those have been sitting on those for about 3/4 of a year. And yeah. Now, with a lot of my roses, if they're strong growers to begin with, I can just cut them, put them in a pot, and we have so much natural humidity here that they will just naturally take off. But you have to be a strong grower to begin with, I think. But I have now air layered successfully a couple of Japanese maples using these balls too. Again, patience is key. You want to make sure you give them lots of time to be able to grow the roots. And then, yeah, just put them in. You know, surprises though. Learning lots of things is part of being a gardener, and sharing what we know is a definite gift. So, you know, let me know in the comments down below if you've done the slit it pot, if that worked for you. But yeah, that's my air layering experiences shared with y'all. And I will be getting to do some yard tours soon, just to kind of let you know what things are looking like right now. But I really enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope you did too. Hope you learned a few things. And I'm going to go ahead and water in the one that I know was successful. This one. And we're going to call that a day. So I hope you're able to go out and make something beautiful in your world today. And until the next one, bye y'all.
Sunrise in the morning, dirt beneath my feet. The shovel and the hoe, the garden I'm gonna greet. Sweet seeds in my hand, dreams of blooms and buds. Water can in the other, bringing life